The courtroom was packed. Reporters jammed shoulder to shoulder. Families pressed into wooden benches. And then, a woman stood up, voice trembling, but steady. She raised a folder. "Your prosecutor," she said, pointing across the room, "is hiding the evidence." Gasps, cameras flashing. The prosecutor froze, because in her hand was proof. Proof he thought was buried forever. Subscribe to this channel. Now let's find out how this chilling true crime story ends. It started with the murder of 19-year-old Tiara Johnson, a college freshman, bright, ambitious, gunned down outside her dorm. Police arrested Andre Miller, 21, her ex-boyfriend. The DA's office said it was open and shut. Motive, opportunity. A witness who swore Andre pulled the trigger. The prosecutor, Daniel Crowe, called it the cleanest case of his career. But something was off. The story too neat. The evidence too perfect. Tiara's mother, Monique Johnson, didn't buy it. She'd known Andre since he was a boy. He wasn't perfect. But a killer? Number. Monique told anyone who would listen. They're railroading him. Something's missing. But no one listened. Not the judge. Not the jury. Not the press. Until Monique found someone who would. Her name was Rachel Carter, a clerk inside the DA's office. Low level, invisible, the kind of person no one notices until she speaks up. Rachel called Monique late one night, her voice shaking. "I can't let this happen. They're hiding something." She told Monique there was a file, one that proved Andre couldn't have been at the scene. Cell tower records, GPS data, a timestamp that placed him miles away. But the file never made it to court. It vanished, buried inside the DA's office. Rachel whispered. Crowe ordered it removed. Monique was stunned. She begged Rachel to go public. Rachel refused. "They'll ruin me. I'll lose everything." But then strange things started happening. Rachel's car tires slashed. Her mailbox ripped open. Anonymous calls in the night. "Stay quiet," the voice hissed. Or else. Rachel knew she had two choices: bury the truth or burn it all down. The trial of Andre Miller began. Prosecutor Crowe strutted across the courtroom, polished, confident, telling the jury Andre had murder in his blood. The defense attorney looked outmatched, the judge impatient, the media eating it up. Andre sat in chains, hopeless. And then Rachel appeared, sitting in the gallery, face pale, hands clutching a folder. Monique leaned over. "Are you ready?" Rachel nodded. On the third day of testimony, Rachel stood. Her voice wavered at first, but the words echoed through the courtroom. "The prosecutor is hiding evidence." The room erupted. Reporters scrambled. The judge pounded his gavel. The jury gasped, and Rachel raised the folder. "This," she shouted, "was pulled from the DA's own files. It proves Andre Miller was innocent." Inside were the missing records, GPS logs, cell data, time-stamped reports, all showing Andre was nowhere near Tiara's dorm. Prosecutor Crowe's face turned white. He stammered, denied, tried to object. But the judge demanded silence. The jury demanded to see. Rachel's documents were entered into the record, and just like that, the cleanest case of Crowe's career Crumbled Andre's lawyer smiled for the first time. Monique cried. Rachel shook as cameras flashed. But then, something darker emerged. Court records revealed the file wasn't just missing. It had been signed out by Daniel Crowe himself. He hadn't overlooked it. He hadn't misplaced it. He had buried it. And he wasn't alone. Emails connected Crowe to senior officers, detectives, even a judge. The case wasn't sloppy. It was a setup, and Rachel Carter had just blown it wide open. The judge ordered the trial halted, Andre Miller's conviction on hold, Crowe under investigation. But as Rachel walked out of court that day, she felt the eyes on her, unmarked cars trailing, men in suits whispering. That night, she found a note taped to her apartment door. One line, typed, precise. "You should have stayed quiet." Her phone buzzed, an unknown number, a voice she recognized instantly. Daniel Crowe. He whispered 3 chilling words. "You're already dead." The line went dead. The news exploded. Headlines screamed, "Prosecutor accused of evidence tampering." "Whistleblower shakes murder trial." On talk shows, they called Rachel a hero. On the street, strangers whispered her name. But in the DA's office, she was branded a traitor. Colleagues turned their backs. Her desk emptied. Her ID deactivated. Rachel had burned her bridge, and Crowe wasn't finished. 2 days later, Crowe stood at a podium, television cameras rolling, his face red, his voice sharp. "She's lying," he barked. "She fabricated evidence to protect a killer." He waved a folder of his own, claimed Rachel was unstable, a disgruntled clerk, bitter and dangerous. But the look in his eyes betrayed fear. Because if Rachel's proof held up, his career was over, and his secrets would unravel. Rachel tried to keep her head down. She moved in with Monique Johnson, the mother who had lost her daughter, and risked everything to free the boy accused. But nights grew darker. Cars idled outside. Lights cut off when she peered through the blinds. Voices whispered at the door. Rachel knew she wasn't paranoid. She was hunted. One night, she found her apartment ransacked. Files gone. Laptop missing. On the wall, 3 words sprayed in black paint. "Stay quiet now." The FBI stepped in. Not out of justice, but because the scandal had grown too loud. Agents questioned Rachel for hours. They asked for the files, the emails, the trail she had uncovered. But Rachel hesitated, because she didn't know who to trust. One agent leaned forward, his badge glinting. "Miss Carter, you have no choice. If you keep this to yourself, you won't last the week." Rachel slid the folder across the table, her hand shaking, her voice low. "Then you better not lose this one." Meanwhile, Monique Johnson's grief boiled into rage. Her daughter was gone. The trial, a circus. The prosecutor, corrupt. She stormed into a press conference, slammed a photo of Tiara on the podium. "My baby deserves justice. And if this city won't give it to her, we'll burn it all down until they do." The crowd erupted. Reporters scribbled. The mayor panicked. Because Monique wasn't just a grieving mother anymore. She was a voice, and her voice was dangerous. Crowe struck back hard. Anonymous tips hit the papers. Rumors of Rachel's mental instability, claims she had forged documents, stories of affairs, drugs, betrayal. But Rachel fought back. Every lie met with receipts. Every smear met with proof. Still, her name dragged, her face plastered on every screen. And Crow smiled, because while Rachel fought for her reputation, he fought for something bigger, his freedom. Then came the bombshell. Rachel discovered another folder, hidden deep in the system, buried under fake case numbers. Inside were wire transfers, payments, not just to Crow, but to detectives, to judges, to city officials. It wasn't just one man, it was a network, legacy, the same shadow that whispered through every case, the same hand that erased evidence. And now Rachel had proof. Rachel knew she had to act fast. She packed the files into a bag, jumped into Monique's car, and sped toward the courthouse. But headlights loomed in her mirror, a black SUV gaining fast. She turned down side streets, sharp corners. The SUV followed, closer, closer. A window rolled down, a gun barrel glinted. Monique screamed. "Drive!" Rachel swerved, tires screeching. The SUV rammed the bumper. Metal crunched, glass shattered. And then, a police cruiser pulled up, sirens blaring. The SUV peeled away, gone. Rachel's hands trembled on the wheel, because the officer who stepped out was Daniel Crow. After the standoff, Rachel vanished. No phones, no credit cards, no trails. Monique smuggled her into a church basement. Cold cement floors, flickering light bulbs. Safe, for now. Rachel whispered, "They own the police, the courts, even the FBI." Monique shook her head. "Then we burn it all down." But Rachel knew burning it down meant risking everything. Meanwhile, Crow doubled down. He appeared on TV again, polished, confident, every word rehearsed. "She's dangerous," he told reporters. "She's trying to destabilize this city, to free a murderer." But behind him, a judge nodded, a police chief smiled, and reporters clapped. Legacy wasn't hiding anymore. It was flexing. Rachel's hope lay in the folder. Emails, wire transfers, names. She slipped it to an FBI agent she thought she could trust. Special Agent Donnelly, a veteran, a reputation for fairness. But 2 nights later, the folder was gone, and Donnelly stopped answering calls. Rachel knew then, the FBI wasn't the cavalry. It was compromised. Word spread that Rachel had gone rogue. Wanted posters leaked online. Claims she stole evidence. That she was mentally unstable. Her face plastered on every news screen. A fugitive, a liar, a criminal. Monique screamed at the TV. "They're trying to kill her before she can speak." Rachel stared at her own photo. The headline beneath, "Whistleblower or Criminal Mastermind." And she realized they were building a case to erase her. One night, the church basement rattled. Doors kicked open. Boots thundered. Voices roared. Rachel and Monique bolted through the back, into the alley. Smoke stung their eyes. Behind them, legacy operatives stormed the church. Dark tactical gear, masks, rifles glinting. Rachel whispered, "They're not police. "They're soldiers." Monique gripped her hand. "They won't stop until you're gone." That's when Rachel made a gamble. She contacted a journalist, Lena Torres, known for exposing corruption. They met in a diner, cheap coffee, sticky booths. Rachel slid a USB drive across the table. "This is everything. If I disappear, you publish it." Lena's eyes widened as she scrolled. Payments, judges, politicians, names that could topple the city. But as she read, her hand shook. "Rachel, you don't get it. This isn't just local. These names..." And then she stopped, her face pale, because one of the names was hers. Rachel's stomach dropped. "What is this?" Lena whispered. "I took money once, years ago, to kill a story. I thought it was nothing, but this is legacy." Rachel pushed the drive back. "You can't help me. You're part of it." But Lena leaned closer. "No, that's why I have to help you. If I don't expose them now, I'll never be free." Rachel didn't trust her, but she had no one left. They planned to meet at the courthouse steps. Rachel would hand over documents. Lena would publish. The world would see. But when Rachel arrived, she saw them. Unmarked vans, men in suits, and Daniel Crowe at the top of the steps, smirking. Lena froze. Her eyes darted. Rachel's heart sank. "It's a setup," she whispered. Crowe shouted, "Rachel Carter, you are under arrest." Cameras rolled. Crowds gasped. Rachel turned to Lena. "Did you sell me out?" Tears welled in Lena's eyes. "I had no choice." Rachel's knees buckled. Because in that moment, she realized legacy didn't need guns to destroy her. They had her story, and they were rewriting it in real time. Agents swarmed. Rachel dragged in cuffs, cameras flashing. Crowe raised his voice. "She thought she could fool us, but justice always wins." The crowd roared. The news anchors cheered. But inside the courthouse, behind locked doors, Rachel saw something chilling. A board covered in photos, whistleblowers, journalists, activists. Every one of them crossed out in red ink, except one. Her photo, circle fresh, underlined twice. Legacy didn't want her gone yet. They wanted her alive. And as she was dragged past the board, she saw 3 words scrawled beneath her picture. Public execution next. Rachel's arrest became a spectacle. Headlines screamed, "Clerk turned criminal. Fake evidence exposed." On TV, Crowe painted her as a liar, a fraud who nearly let a killer walk free. But in court, Rachel noticed the jury, their eyes distant, their faces pale. Every one of them, picked by legacy. The outcome wasn't in doubt. It was scripted. Locked in a holding cell, Rachel found a scrap of paper, folded small, slipped through the bars. 3 words written in red ink. "Watch the judge." Her chest tightened. Because Judge Harrison had been presiding over legacy cases for decades. And if he ruled against her, the system would bury the truth forever. Rachel whispered to herself, "If they can use the courtroom to kill me, then I'll use the courtroom to kill them." On the second day of trial, Rachel made her move. When the judge asked if she had anything to say, she stood. She locked eyes with the crowd, with cameras rolling, and she shouted, "You want the truth? Then play the drive in my pocket." Gasps. Reporters scrambled. The judge slammed his gavel, but the bailiff hesitated. reached into her pocket, and pulled out a tiny USB drive. On the screen overhead, wire transfers, emails, contracts, not just Crow, not just Harrison, half the city's elite, exposed in real time. The courtroom erupted. Reporters screamed. Jurors gasped. Crow leapt to his feet. "She's faking it," he shouted. "She hacked the system." But the documents bore signatures, dates, proof too strong to deny. Then the lights cut out. Darkness swallowed the room. Screams filled the air. When the lights flickered back on, the drive was gone, and Crow was smiling. "You think you won? This is our house." Rachel's knees buckled, because Legacy had just erased her evidence. Again. Back in her cell, Rachel trembled. Monique visited, tears in her eyes. "They're too big, too strong. You can't fight them." Rachel shook her head. "No, that's why we have to fight them." She pressed Monique's hands against the glass. "Get the journalist. Get the copies. Don't stop." Because Rachel had planned ahead. That wasn't the only drive. On the final day of trial, something strange happened. Screens across the city flickered. TVS phones, billboards, and then Rachel's voice played. Her testimony, the files, the transfers, the names, broadcast everywhere. It wasn't just the courtroom anymore, it was the world. Crow's face drained. The judge pounded his gavel. But outside, crowds gathered, chanting, screaming, demanding justice. Legacy had lost control of the narrative. Within days, protests swelled. Reporters swarmed City Hall. The FBI, under federal pressure, finally turned on Crow. He was dragged out in cuffs, his smirk gone, his career over. Judge Harrison resigned overnight. Detectives fled the city. Politicians ducked into silence. It looked like Rachel had won. But Legacy wasn't gone. It was wounded, and wounds make predators dangerous. Weeks later, Rachel walked free, cleared of charges, her name whispered as a hero. Monique hugged her, whispering, "Tiara didn't die for nothing. You saved others." But that night, Rachel returned home. She found her door ajar, her living room ransacked. On her bed, a single Polaroid, a photo of her asleep, taken the night before. On the back, one sentence written in red ink: "Legacy never dies." Do you think Rachel Carter was brave or reckless for exposing the prosecutor in open court? If Legacy is this powerful, do you believe the system can ever truly be cleaned up? Or will it always find a way to survive? If you were in Rachel's shoes, would you risk your life to reveal the truth? Or stay silent to protect yourself? Let's discuss in the comments. Subscribe to this channel now to get more chilling true crime stories like this one.